We are finally scratching the itch, going from sim to real in a car hired from James Real Motorsport, Formula V Ireland, Mondello Park National Circuit. We are on our second test session of the day. We had a nice run in the morning, and unfortunately at the end of the session we lost fourth gear. So between the morning and the afternoon session, the team changed gearbox in an incredible short space of time. James Friel and Sean McCallion, they got stuck in and helped me get out ready for this session. Spare gearbox fitted and it's running well so far. However, towards the end of the session, we start to feel the stubbornness going from third to fourth gear. So as we go for a run down into turn 1, we're struggling to find third gear. And eventually we get there, but it did require a bit of a clutch, brake and turn. And that was a little bit stubborn. So unfortunately for us, towards the end of the session, that meant that yet another gearbox change had to be made. And a special thanks to Jordan Kelly, who drove all the way down from Bunkrana with a third gearbox to go in the car later in the evening. Thankfully we got some running in, however Saturday's conditions were to be a whole lot different from what we see here. Beside me as well I had Sean McClemens, who was giving me some incredible driving coach tips, particularly around Mondello. He knows his way around here, telling me where to brake, where to turn in, what lines to be taken, how much speed to be carrying in, and looking where I'm slow and looking where I'm quick, and helping me improve all the time. So mega thanks to Sean. Such a great group of people around to help me through my first race weekend. And no amount of lessons we learned today could apply for what was about to come on Saturday morning.
Enjoy yourself like that.
James giving me the thumbs up, and we're about to start our first ever run in the rain and our first ever qualifying session. The session is 15 minutes long. The track has been covered in oil. We've had several water tankers down just to try and clear that oil. And we're just waiting for the field to clear. We're going to try and be one of the last cars out if we can, just to give ourselves that space. Pat Shepherd there in front of us. There comes Sean McCallion, our teammate. As we leave assembly and head into the pit lane, ready to complete our first outing onto a wet circuit in this car. So this is a new environment for me. I have never driven this car and this track in these sort of conditions, so this is very much a pretty big learning curve. That said, I'm getting a feel just for what the car is doing, trying to get a sense of where the grip is. I'm also looking at the cars in front of me just to see what lines they're taking, how much momentum and speed they're carrying into the corners, seeing what we can get away with in terms of speed and cornering and braking. And as we're about to find out, we can see what happens when we misjudge. So a little bit too much entry speed, not enough braking, and we slither wide. But luckily for us, no harm done. Experiment where the track is going, waiting for the traffic to go and traffic to clear before we rejoin the track. So we're about to start our final qualifying lap. Having got a couple of laps in, we now have a bit of a feel for the circuit. And this will be our final effort around Mondello Park. We have the track to ourselves. Luckily we have all the space in the world. We've managed to find some space. And we're taking that outside line. We're feeling the grip. There's a little bit more there on the outside that I've found worked for me. And taking a kind of a non-direct racing line to try and avoid the rubber that's been laid out on the circuit from the previous day. So on our run to turn 3, we're taking very much a long coast in, taking a wide entry and a shallow exit to try again stay off that rubbery line. We're we're feeding in the power, and just in our mirrors we could just see a glimpse of the RTA scholarship car driven by one Travis Mawhinney, who was absolutely incredible this weekend. He is in our mirrors, and he is also on his last lap, and I can just see he's about 3 to 4 car lengths away at this stage, but he is catching, he's carrying, he's a lot more committed through those corners than I am, and I'm hoping here we get a decent run out of the final corner. We get the power down, and we can see Travis close behind us, and we beckon to him to follow me down the pit straight and to go left if necessary, and we give him a tow across the line, and that lap gives us P8 and our first ever Formula V race. So this is how the grid lines up. We've got Oliver Devlin beside us on the same row, and Travis Mawhinney unfortunately was excluded from qualifying for a technical infringement. He had set pole position, and that little tow we gave him just about helped him over the line to get it by 400ths of a second. However, we've got some changeable conditions during the race. So the track was covered in oil from a previous race, and the organisers took their time to allow us to get out onto the grid for the race. So the pit lane and the paddock area actually seem relatively dry, but as you can see, the track is pretty covered in heavy water, particularly on the pit straight, to try and treat that oil that was laid down, and it seems to have largely done its job, and in certain other parts of the circuit we can see it's almost dry. But again, now that the track is kind of in a greasy condition, at least while the track was fully wet beforehand, we're now dealing with more kind of greasy conditions. So they allowed us 2 circulatory laps to the grid, and we're going to line up, starting in 8th position. I shall come back to you later and let you enjoy the race start. See where we stood. A lot of drivers are a lot more confident than me in these conditions. time, just exploring the track and learning my limits. Some of the drop drivers, as you can see, are already there. And a couple of drivers trying hard to turn 1 as well, running wide, and that's mainly what I was trying to avoid. But even with that, they had put such a gap on me that even by the time they rejoined, I was only catching up to them. So we had a pretty pedestrian first couple of laps as I'm learning the circuit. So finishing this lap in 9th place. And the cars in front of us begin to pull away as they are a lot more confident than I am at this stage. And a bit of a gap emerges. So we're still in P9, we're on lap 4, we see a yellow flag on the way into turn 4, and we see a car off, beached in the gravel. And as we approach the pit lane, we kind of wonder what will happen there with that yellow flag. Will like be just covered under yellows, or will the rear sufficients make a decision? So as we exit the final corner, we can see some yellow flags been waving, and we can soon see that the safety car has been deployed to remove that car. So we acknowledge the marshals that we've seen the flags, and 2 laps later, beginning at lap 7, we catch up to the field. Admittedly, I was driving at a much slower pace behind the pace car. I should have been driving a little bit quicker. Of course, the yellow flag is here, so we're not aware that the safety car is coming in. We've just caught the tail end of the field here, and we're leaving quite a long gap. And it's only now we see the green flag that we're aware that we're racing. So we can just about see the green flag waving in the distance. So we're underway again. And we've got a gaggle of cars behind us here, so we're taking a slightly defensive line into turn 1 here. And by doing that, that actually puts us on the rubbery line of the sector. Rubbery line, and we're up another place there to P8. So we haven't really gained our lost places here. We're coming on to lap 8 here. We're struggling to find a gear. We're struggling trying to find third gear again, and we're missing gears. Eventually we find it. Found second gear, but it wasn't really the right gear to be in, and on the wrong line as well, so we lost another place then, back down into 9th, and we lost a lot of momentum here. Stephen Roach is coming up our inside here, and we're aware he's there, so we take our time around the corner. That's going to drop us down into P10 again. And on the wrong line, it lost momentum. And seeing the other cars going so much more confidently here, Fergus Bentley tries to get alongside us here. Finally, a bit of the sim race instinct kicks in. We go a little bit defensive. And Stephen doesn't get the most optimum line coming out of here. We're carrying a little bit more speed through here, and we've got the momentum. Literally the only pass I made on track the entire race. So Stephen is in our wheel tracks here. And we're getting a little bit more confident now on the track, but again we're kind of on the wrong line, haven't gone defensive, and that's shoved us out wide. And of course being on the wrong line puts us on the wrong line again on the exit of the corner. You can see the difference where the grip is from the inside to the outside, and Sean McClemens had definitely taught me all about that, but during the race it was quite difficult to, in racing situations it was hard to apply everything, as this really did feel like almost driving the car for the first time again. But as you can see, the track is drying, and it's with the spray that's coming up with us in the start finish straight, when you're inside the visor, sometimes it gives you a false sense of insecurity, that you think that there's less grip than there actually is. But looking at this angle here, you can see that the track is actually quite dry in parts, and we're not really finding the confidence here. It's only as the field is catching up to us. So we go slightly deep into this corner. We see Fergal coming up our inside. We see some oil on the inside line there, and that was a lovely move. We follow in his wheel tracks on the run down to turn 1. We get a face full of water. That's something that was new to me as well, is when you get a face full of spray like that, sometimes your instinct is to lift, but actually the right thing to do is to keep your foot hard down. And again, we're struggling for gears. We're in second gear. We use a little burst of acceleration in second to try and hold on. The racer instinct is kind of kicking in a little bit now, where I'm seeing the other cars going faster than me, and I'm trying to speed up a bit more and realise that I can't just be pedestrianising, driving around the field at such a slow pace. As some of the experienced drivers are very much showing here that they're showing the experience they have around here. My only aim for this race really was to try and bring it home, and I was impressed how much in close contact with other cars, how much the sim racing instinct does actually kick in, so long as you're not someone who dives up the inside of turn one every lap. So we're getting a little bit more confident. We can see some of the other drivers are pushing on a little bit, so we're trying to push on as well. You can see like there's quite big variations where people are finding grip and where the confidence is with different drivers. Some drivers have more confidence in other corners. So we'll find third gear properly this time. And unfortunately, in our head, we think we've lost it, so we pull it back to second gear, and we're struggling to find a gear once again. I made a mistake there putting in second gear, and that's lost us a couple of places, unfortunately. So at this stage now, we're running in 12th place overall. We get overtaken. Now we're in 12th place. And we get overtaken by Stephen Roach, who we passed earlier on in the race. So again, at this stage now, with not that much time remaining in the race, I am looking at the start-finish board every single time we pass it, and we can see that the clock is ticking down. We're kind of hoping that the cars in front will have a bit of a battle, but as you can see, everybody's trying different things the whole time to try and find grip. So we're following the drivers to see, can we follow their lines, follow what they're doing. And I'm very conscious of that inside line. There was a lot of oil spilled on that inside line of the corner, and in my head I was doing my best not to touch it. So we're on the last lap here. We're getting a bit braver now. We can see there's a gaggle of cars bunched up in front of us. There's 5 cars. If that all came together, that could be a net P8 or 7 for us. So we're pressing on. We're getting a better momentum now out of 2 and 3. No more gear issues. In my own head, from rookie drivers, we're currently second in the rookie class on the road. Travis, who overtook us on lap 1, is leading the rookie class and is running third overall, which has been a mighty performance. At this stage here, I've just thought to myself, try and bring it home. We are catching the group in front of us, heading towards the checkered flag. And our last 2 laps were our best of the race, where we finally had a bit more confidence in the car. We can see the field pulling away in front of us, so we start pushing on a little bit more. We see the battle happening in front of us. A fantastic scrap here. And we cross the line. And that concludes the end of our first Formula V race. Wave to the family in the grandstands who's had to endure me talking about this race for the last 4 to 5 months. And we just finished ahead of our teammate Sean McCallion, who had a good drive from the back as well. It was very much a baptism of oil and water, thankfully not fire. We creep into Park Fermé. Conor Mealy is our race winner, a fantastic result, fighting Jack Byrne in front of Travis McWhinney from the very back on his Formula V race debut. Went from 21st to 3rd, which was unbelievable racing. For us, we're just glad we got the thing round. It didn't cause any damage, and we scored ourselves a rookie podium. I'm very proud of that. Thanks so much to everybody who helped out. James Friel, big thank you to him for letting me drive in this car. Sean McClemens for coaching me around, and all the tips and tricks that everybody gave me. Jordan Kelly, Conor Mealy, and Ona Doherty. all of the RTA lads. Thanks so much for this bit of information you shared with me. It all added up today.